Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're embarking on a journey to build a stunning Jetpack Compose app. We'll be crafting a quotes app that not only looks beautiful, but also demonstrates some of the most powerful tools in modern Android development. Here's the tech stack we'll be using. Jetpack Compose. For building a user interface that's both visually appealing and performant. MVVM Architecture. To keep our code organized and maintainable with clear separation of concerns. Dagger Hilt. To manage dependencies and make testing easier. Kotlin Flow. For handling asynchronous data fetching from an API in a reactive way. Retrofit. To seamlessly interact with the API and retrieve quote data. What you'll need for this project. First, basic understanding of Android development. Second, familiarity with Kotlin programming. Third, a little knowledge of Jetpack Compose. So let us begin by setting up the project. For this project, we will be using the Quotable API, which is a free open-source quotations API. It was originally developed as part of a free Codecamp project, which is freely available on GitHub. The link to GitHub is in the description box. On this GitHub, you will find complete information about the API that we will use in our app, such as get random quotes, list tags, and get author by slug. You can test the API on our public Postman workspace. Here I have opened all the Quotable API in Postman. Here you can see all the list of API and its required parameters are given. We can test any API and customized any parameter, and by clicking on Send button, we'll get responsive API. In our project, we are going to use the only two API first get random quote, second list quotes. Let's start implementing the API in the project. So I've already created some classes and functions to save time. Here's the base URL and endpoint for the list of quotes and random quote. This code defines an interface API service with two functions that make network requests. Get list of quotes, to retrieve a list of quotes, and get random quotes, to fetch a random quote. These functions use the get annotation to specify the type of HTTP request and the endpoint, and they return the responses wrapped in data classes, response quotes and quotes result respectively. Also, we have already created data classes, response quotes and quotes result. Most important things. Head over to our app build.gradle file and add the necessary libraries. We will need Retrofit, ViewModel, Coroutines, HTTP IDER Suppeater, coil navigation libraries for this project. So here we have created the Dagger application class. This line tells Android that your application, named MyApp, uses Dagger Hilt for dependency injection, making it easier to manage and access needed objects throughout your app. Also, we have created NetRock module class, which injects dependencies for network calls, configures timeouts, logging, and data conversion, builds OKHTTP client and Retrofit for making API requests and handling responses. Now let's create Quotes Repository class. This code creates a class called Quotes Repository that acts like your data manager for quotes. The Quotes Repository class has a constructor that takes an AP service instance as a parameter. This AP service is injected into the repository, which means it gets provided by some dependency injection framework like Dagger or Hilt. The class has two methods, getQuotes, random repo, and getQuotes repo, both of which return a flow. These methods use Kotlin Coroutines to make network calls in the background, using dispatchers.io for input-output operations, and then emit the results. GetQuotes random repo fetches a random quote, and GetQuotes repo fetches a list of quotes. In essence, this repository class handles the task of fetching quotes from an API in a way that's efficient and suitable for concurrent operations. Now let's create ViewModel. In Android Jetpack Compose, ViewModel manages UI-related data in a lifecycle-conscious way, ensuring data survives configuration changes like screen rotations. It separates UI logic from business logic, making code cleaner and more testable, and handles state management and long-running operations efficiently. This code defines a ViewModel class ViewModel, which is responsible for managing UI-related data in a lifecycle-conscious way. It uses dependency injection to get instances of quotes repository and context. The source code for this app is available on GitHub. You can find the link in the video description. Don't forget to follow us on GitHub at github.dinesh2510. The ViewModel maintains a private mutable state flow, response random quotes to hold the state of the random quotes data, and exposes an immutable state flow response random quotes to the UI for observing changes. We are also handling states. The quotes state sealed class represents the different states that can occur when fetching quotes in your application. 1. Successed. This state indicates that the data retrieval was successful and holds the retrieved data. 2. Error. This state indicates that an error occurred during the data retrieval and holds an error message. Loading. This state indicates that the data is currently being loaded. And also we are checking internet connection while fetching data from server. The fetch random quotes function in the quotes view model launches a coroutine to handle fetching random quotes. It checks for network availability first. If the network is available, it attempts to fetch quotes from the repository. If successful, it updates the state to quotes state, success with the fetched quotes. If an error occurs during the fetch, it catches the exception and updates the state to quotes state. Error with an error message. If no network is available, it sets the state to quotes state.error with a no internet connection message. This function ensures proper state management and error handling for the quotes fetching process. We've also created a bottom navigation bar that includes the home screen, a list of quotes screen, and an about screen. To learn more about how to create a bottom navigation bar in Jetpack Compose, check out the detailed video tutorial linked in the description box below. This video covers all the steps and best practices to help you implement a smooth and user-friendly navigation experience in your app. With the bottom navigation in place, we can now turn our attention to the home screen. The home screen will showcase a card displaying a random quote and include a refresh button. Each time the button is clicked, a new random quote will be fetched from the API, providing users with continuous inspiration and fresh content. Let's start by creating the home screen composable function in Jetpack Compose. This function will include a nav controller to handle navigation and a ViewModel to fetch data from the repository. We'll initialize the ViewModel at the top of the screen and then proceed to implement the UI for displaying random quotes and a refresh button. The random quote state variable collects the state from the ViewModel. This state can be either a success, error, or loading state, managed through a state flow. As we have already implemented the loader and show error functions to handle loading and error states respectively, we will utilize these functions in our state management within the random quote screen. If the state is loading, a loading indicator is shown using the centered circular progress indicator composable. If the state is error, it retrieves the error message. The show error composable is called to display the error message. When the state is success, it retrieves the quote data. A box composable is used to display the quote with a vertical gradient background. Inside the box, a column composable is used to display the quote, content and the author's name, styled with text composables. An icon is added for visual enhancement and positioned at the bottom center of the box. Don't forget to follow us on GitHub at github.dinesh3510.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Dangerous times, don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind.
The source code for this app is available on GitHub. You can find the link in the video description. Don't forget to follow us on GitHub at github.dinesh3510. That wraps up today's video. We've successfully implemented the random quote API, and our app looks fantastic. The refresh button is working flawlessly, providing fresh content each time it's clicked. In the next video, we'll dive into part 2, where we'll implement a list of quotes with a pager for seamless navigation. Don't forget to like and share this video with your developer friends. The source code for this app is available on GitHub, and you can find the link in the description below. Also, follow us on GitHub at github.dinesh2510 for more updates and projects. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.